Before we start, I should tell you something. Sometimes you gotta be bad before you're good, but that's okay, because success doesn't come easily, and it's the same thing with street photography. With that, I wanna thank the sponsor of today's video, Saal Digital, for sponsoring, and let's hop into the first tip. If you already do street photography, you probably already know this first tip. It's to keep your camera on you. A really good tip for this is wrapping your camera strap right around your hand. And another thing you can even do is just hold your camera up really close to your face. It's a really easy, surefire way not to miss your shots. This obviously is a great way to help keep you prepared for the unexpected. As you may know or may not know, a lot of street photography is actually taking photos of candid things right in the moment. And a lot of times that moment is unexpected, so you want to be prepared to have the shot and you don't want to miss anything, so just keep your camera close to your face. Now, one thing a lot of photographers do, and even I'm guilty of this sometimes, is just leaving their camera strap right around their neck. Usually their camera is down at their waist, not in the ready position to take photos, and this drastically increases your odds of missing great photos. So it's just better for you and easier to end up just keeping your camera up near your face. And one really cool tip about this is you're not going to cause a disturbance in your scene. Just the movement of going up from your waist or your chest level all the way up to your face sometimes can cause people's peripherals to activate, and they'll kind of notice it. It'll distract people. It can even make your shot a little bit worse. Obviously, when it comes to this, just use your best judgment. If you can feel a shot coming on, obviously keep your arms up, keep the camera near your face. But I mean, it's not like you can keep your hands up for multiple hours at a time, so you will need to rest it at times. So if you do need to rest it, give it a rest. Don't want your arms getting too tired while you're out there and then just ending up making a short day out of it. But definitely stay prepared in the moment. Be ready for the unexpected. Shooting street photography almost naturally calls you to take photos of people, but that somewhat isn't true. I mean, just thinking about your area that you're shooting in, whether you're shooting in New York City or you're shooting in an area with a couple thousand people, your photos might look a lot different on the street photography you're doing. For example, in New York City, it's going to be a lot of people and you're going to kind of tend to lead towards that. But in a smaller city, you might notice a really cool car that passes by. That's really vintage or old school. You might notice like a really cool street lamp, which is really interesting. You might be able to intersect moments and see them as they're happening because you're actually able to be more aware of your surroundings because you're not focused on thousands of people. When you're in busy areas, it's extremely easy to miss shots. So sometimes going to those less busy areas is a lot better. One time I was out shooting in Phoenix, Super Bowl weekend last year, and it was insane. There were so many people everywhere, where there were a lot of different things for me to take photos of. It was a little bit tricky for me to be able to focus on taking these photos because I had to be so aware of my surroundings. One thing that helps me out a ton when I'm going out taking street photography is to actually go to the outskirts of a city or to go to a much smaller city. It allows me to focus so much more on the artwork of photography itself and what's going on in my scenes. I'm able to just pay attention to so many different things around me versus in these really crowded areas. You just have to sit and constantly pay attention, and it's honestly a little overwhelming sometimes. So one really easy tip you can throw in with your street photography is going to areas that are less crowded. You'd be surprised how many people that you meet going out taking photos. Not only is this a great way to meet other photographer friends, but it's also a really good way to meet potential clients. And that's where today's sponsor comes into this video, Saal Digital. They've got a really cool product available to photographers out there. They have a free online photo portfolio that you can use to show to clients, which obviously is much better than showing a random Instagram page or just some random photos that you just recently taken. With this portfolio, it's really never been easier for you to share and sell your work with potential clients. They have passwords to folders that you can share with your clients so that way they stay protected. They've got smaller thumbnails that you can use as previews for your photos. And my favorite of all is that they have watermarks, so that way you can trademark your work and make sure no one steals it, infringes on your work that you're spending your time on. Saal Digital's photo portal is extremely easy to set up and run. You simply upload photos onto your site along with some of your personal information and links to your social media account, and you instantly have something to present to people you meet on the street to see if they could possibly become a client. Heck, if you run into someone, you take some street photos of them, and they actually want the copies, you can actually send them a link through your Saal Digital portfolio and end up selling them physical copies, which is a super cool way to gain a client just through doing some street photography. Go check out Saal Digital today at saal-digital.com. I've got a link below in the description of the video here where you can go check out the platform for yourself. And with that being said, thank you to Saal Digital for sponsoring. Let's get over to the next tip. Shoot alone. Now, for some people, this might seem a little odd, and it might make you a little nervous as well as it might make other people nervous, but a moment goes by, people forget, and the biggest thing of all is when you're by yourself and no one else is out there distracting you, you can focus on the priority, street photography. This really allows you to be a better observer of the environment around you and really focus on what you're taking photos of. If you can't really tell by now, a lot of street photography requires you focusing on your subject, so minimalizing the amount of distractions that are around you are super huge. It just isn't fully possible for us to put 100% focus into multiple things, so it's just better for us to just shoot on our own. As well, this also doesn't make us feel held back. Sometimes someone might have to go do something, you might be waiting around for someone to arrive to a place, or you might be trying to go somewhere, so you might not be putting your full effort into your street photography, so at that point, it's just better to end up shooting alone. This doesn't mean I think that you should stop shooting any photography with your friends. Actually, I think you should, do photography with your friends. You get a lot of cool photos. It's just that find a little bit of time to do it alone, as well as find some time to do it with your friends. Find a nice balance of the two, because you'll be surprised at what type of photos that you're able to get when you're just by yourself taking street photos. Last tip here might actually be, ironically, one of the deepest. We all have fears, we all have things that we're maybe not as good at, we're not as confident in, whatever it may be. Just be willing to be accepting of not necessarily being as good at something. Be okay with it not being the best version of yourself, because in your bad versions of yourself or things that may not be up to your full standard, those stack up to eventually help you get to that point that you maybe eventually want to be at. So don't look at maybe one bad thing as one bad thing forever, just maybe one bad thing for the time. And maybe even something might come up, and this happens to me quite a bit. I'll go out and try to do some street photos, go try to meet some strangers even and do street photos, and I'll talk with like maybe one person. If that, sometimes I'll just walk around for a couple hours, and that's totally okay. When it came down to it, I at least got up, went and walked around, and almost did it. I didn't fully do it, but it's still okay that I almost went and did it. And that's no reason to beat yourself up for not going and doing it. Just try again. I like to say, just give it the good old etch-a-sketch, erase it, act like it never happened. No biggie. Just go about it, go and try again, and don't take these failures to heart as if like, oh, I suck at this, I'm never gonna be good at it. You will. You just have to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I'd even go as far to say, if not taking street photos when you're out and about has a negative impact on you, that's actually a good thing. Because that means you care enough about taking your street photos to let it impact you, which you can end up transmuting that into something that's really awesome. Because you'll put so much time, so much care, so much effort into this thing that eventually you'll get to the point where you want to be at. You just sometimes kind of got to, you got to take some falls, take some hits before you can get those wins. And sometimes you just got to stack up even those little wins to go out there and go try again at taking some more street photos. Even on days where you get fully ready, you get everything prepared, you're out the door, you've got all your camera gear on you, you're ready, you're walking around, but you end up taking no photos. I mean, you did more than most people. You did even more than the people who don't even try at all, which is a super big win, and you should pat yourself on the back for even just that. One of my favorite sayings is sometimes you gotta suck at things before you can get good at them, and a lot of times that's the case. I know a lot of people, you see all the follower counts, subscriber counts, things along those lines, but some of my closest friends know the fact that, I didn't succeed at this for years. I started doing this when I was 12. I'm 26 now. I started really young with this stuff, and there was a lot of years of not succeeding at this before I started to succeed, so sometimes you just gotta stay patient. I hope this video has helped you learn a little bit more about street photography and possibly even a little bit more about yourself. I know a lot of these tips have helped me out become a better street photographer and just a street photographer in general. So if you did like that, comment down below what you thought of the video, maybe a tip you've given out to some other photographers that you found really helpful, or something that you've taken in that you found really helpful as well. Also, subscribe if you like this content and you want to see more stuff like it. Just make sure to give that thumbs up too. Once again, I appreciate you watching this video, taking a little time out of your day to learn some street photography stuff. Hope you learned a little bit from this video. I want to say thanks to the sponsor of the video, Saal Digital. Go check them out, a link in the description of this video. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.